Vanderbilt and South Carolina. It is our technical foul game of the week. This was the one that was picked by the fans. Which fan picked it?
Clifton.
Clifton picked it specifically. Good pick, Clifton.
We haven't had enough people make comments to
Clifton
have
was
a vote.
at the Saints game today. Just thought you should know. You have a fellow.
He's a big Saints fan.
I feel bad for him. I don't want to get into that one. That was a tough one.
Okay.
Vanderbilt had only outgained South Carolina by 18 yards in the first half, but as Sanders said earlier, Williams-Brice was rocking first play of the game. Brian Thomas gets in the backfield nearly the same time the ball is handed off, 4-yard loss. Vanderbilt responds, though. Quick screen to Stowers for a first down. Pavia, as Sanders also said, had this goofy throwback lateral to Cedric Alexander that picks up a first down on 3rd and 6. Huge play. And then the drive is capped off by a one-headed catch by Cedric Alexander. South Carolina comes roaring back with LaNorris Sellers. They hit on the first play for about 30 to 40 yards. They have 4 10-plus yard plays on the drive, touchdown. South Carolina gets the ball back later in the game. They're driving again, and then Sellers throws inarguably a bad pick. He falls for a late drop from the defensive tackle, and I'd almost argued that it was the defensive tackle got stonewalled by the center, so he's like, okay, I guess I'll just drop back in the pass coverage right now.
I'll act like that was intentional.
That's what it
calculated.
looked like when I watched it, and he gets picked off throwing the angle route to the halfback. It's a huge play in the game. It's huge momentum. The zig route, which Zachariah Branch scores a 2-point conversion on in the Georgia-Tennessee game, but the zig route is scored for a touchdown off of that interception for Vandy. Junior Sherrill scores the touchdown to give Vandy the lead back. And then LaNorris Sellers gets hurt. Concussion is what they ended up calling it. If he gets through protocol, I think he's going to play this weekend. He has so much time.
They need him to play.
And they will need him to play because they go to the school up north and play.
Also, the way that whole thing went down with them not reviewing it, and after the play was snapped and they're about to hit a potential big play to Nick Harbor, and they're like, no, we're going to review it. It's brutal.
I watched the highlights. They didn't show a replay of the hit. Was it a bogus targeting call or was it valid? I thought it looked the one angle I saw, it looked bogus.
For me, watching it live, I thought it was stupid.
Yeah.
That we even got to review.
Yeah.
It, and especially reviewing it as late as they did.
Correct.
Where we've essentially snapped the ball and South Carolina hits a huge play.
That was the funny part, is how upset all the South Carolina fans were. And then it turns out they were reviewing for targeting, and they were like, let's go.
Well, I mean, Beamer was furious.
Still not going, let's go.
But after the LaNorris Sellers injury, they kind of drive down the field with their backup and get in field goal range, miss the field goal. And then, as we've already said twice, the second half drives for South Carolina are a punt, turnover on downs, fumble, interception, ball game. Vandy essentially blows out South Carolina 31-7 in their home building. They took great light to that on Twitter. Multiple fans that were at the game took pictures of the stadium in the fourth quarter. But it's a impressive win for Vanderbilt. I will say Diego Pavia managed the game well. Cedric Alexander is one of the better backs in the SEC. And the defense...
You're welcome for him in the College Keeper League.
I think I appreciate it. The defense, I think, deserves credit.
100%.
Punt, turnover on downs, fumble, interception is not just bad offense.
Two sides to that story.
There's definitely two sides to it. I think they deserve credit for that and how they played in the second half. And defense always travels, and defense did travel for Vanderbilt on Saturday. So I think they deserve a ton of credit for that. Do they deserve enough credit to go from unranked to number 8 in the country? No, but they deserve enough credit to be ranked. I would have understood the argument for ranking them last week, and I think the biggest thing is you can clearly see why they were as close in the spread with South Carolina, a 11th ranked team in the nation, with how they looked on Saturday. As I said earlier, it's the first win in an SEC opener for Vanderbilt since 2011, and they look to continue on what was a great success last year with an upset win against Alabama, and now another marquee win against South Carolina early on.
Yeah. About Diego Pavia, I don't have the exact quote. I was listening to Josh Pate's show from Thursday. He has Colt Kubelik on, and Cole says something basically it was Diego Pavia is the kind of guy who when you watch him, he's going to do something and you're going to have your reaction is going to be one of two things. And part of my language, but I think this is the basic quote is you're going to be like, oh, shit. Or you're going to be like, oh, shit. Basically, he's going to do something and it's going to work and Vandy's going to win or it's not and it's going to lose. And it's the lateral, like the wild lateral where he's running and turns and no other quarterback would probably think to do this. Overarm throws the lateral ball out and swings it to Cedric Alexander because there's no one over there because they're all going to the quarterback. He's that kind of quarterback. And last year it worked for Vandy, and he won him a couple games, lost in some games. Right now he's got him to 3-0 and has looked impressive doing it. I don't know if that kind of thing is sustainable. It's wild that he was able to do it on the road in such a loud environment because, like I said it in an earlier segment because this is his own YouTube video. I'll say it again. I watched the highlights, and that tackle for loss had the kind of feeling of like when a lesser opponent goes in and you think it's going to be close and you realize very early on that it's just not. Kind of like like if Georgia played us a couple years ago and, we try to hype ourselves up because we're an SEC school and Georgia comes in and like starts off 3 and out with a sack and, 2 tackles for losses or a pass breakup. It's that kind of feeling where immediately you realize
it happened in the Alabama game when Bryce Young was here.
Exactly. You realize, oh, these are not the same. And that's what it felt like. And then the way Vanderbilt bounced back, like you talked about, impressed me a lot. That's kind of like those are. Oh, and Vandy's defense, I don't know who calls the plays for their defense, but I love his timing on his blitzes and the way he drew them up. Watching those highlights, they were constantly getting free guys to the quarterback. It was very well done defensively. So their defense looked fantastic. They were flying all over the field. The 2 forced fumbles were either them strip sacks. I believe they were both in the field. I know one of them was. I don't remember about the other.
Both of them were in the field.
That's what I thought. So that's really good defense. I mean, that's also potentially poor ball protection, but to have your guys go after the ball that aggressively and be able to punch it out, that was really big. So their defense from Vandy, even though they weren't playing LaNorris Sellers, impressed the heck out of me.
Yeah, their defense looked solid. It looked good. Very scrappy, which is what we've come to expect from this Vanderbilt team. They know they don't have the most talent, but they make up for it in heart. Similar with their offense, like they're gonna scrap. So I liked what I saw there. I liked what I saw from Vandy, but I've also just been pretty low on South Carolina and basically calling them LaNorris Sellers' team.
They showed that,
and they showed that, in my opinion. Like I feel very validated in that opinion that they don't really have the bodies throughout the team to compete in the SEC week in, week out either. Shout out Vandy. It's a huge win on the road. You will take that any day of the week. But I have a lot of big questions about South Carolina. I really already had those questions, but now they've become even larger and even more clear. So
I feel like we didn't disagree that much. I mean,
we disagree about the ranking.
The fact that I ranked them very, very high. We disagree about that vehemently. But the game itself, we agree on pretty much. Sure. Vandy was impressive offensively and defensively, and South Carolina
laid an egg.
Struggled a lot.
It wasn't October yet is the problem. So
True.
It's not their time yet. They've not blossomed.